because it's so easy to just get lost in the day-to-day grind and not have any like purpose behind it. And some people are okay with that. I'm just not. And I try to find the people that are also not okay with that.
This is Chris G here, Hard Hat CEO, and welcome back. I'm guessing when you started your business, you were just selling your services and didn't have to think about all these things we're going to talk about today in accounting. And I've talked about accounting before, but we're going to talk about finances, what you need to look for. We're hoping I'm going to simplify it for you. Not everybody likes it, and that's why I recommend getting a CPA to help run your business. And today I've got Dustin Young. Dustin's from the Arizona area. I guess Arizona is a state, but it'd be the Phoenix area. And please help me welcome Dustin Young. Dustin, glad to see you.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Good to be here. Super happy to talk to your audience today about simplifying finance in the construction world.
That's right. Can you tell us a little bit about your background before we get into our discussion?
Yeah, totally. Real quick, I'm obviously not the oldest dude around, but I've been able to be lucky to have some real specific construction finance experience for the last close to a decade, and have an accounting degree as well, which I don't necessarily think is the thing that qualifies me at all, but I just have to throw that out there. I've been able to be in the field a lot in the operations, and I've been able to be in the office a lot, so I can kind of tie those two things together, which really helps me to connect well with business owners. They're really good at their craft, they're good at their trade, they might be good at pouring concrete or framing a house, and it usually takes someone else with the other side of it to come in and kind of help simplify things and make sure that they're profitable and running a business that doesn't run them.
So I took accounting in college. My professor wanted me to be a CPA. But we're talking about something a little different. There's CPAs and there's bookkeepers, and we're not talking about bookkeeping accounting. That's the numbers, incoming payments, outgoing payments, bills, and payables, invoices, and such. But we're really talking about how to read the information those bookkeepers create. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So what's kind of if you had to pick a couple KPIs, key performance indicators that you would indicate from those reports, which ones would you kind of recommend?
I keep it pretty simple.
Simple's good.
Yeah. The top four for me are just revenue, gross profit, net profit, and cash. If any one of those things isn't in line, then you probably are having some problems, and that's kind of where we start.
Talking about starting, you have to have the forms, you have to have the report to start with, right?
Yeah.
So while we talk about bookkeepers, bookkeeping, you have to have one, or you need one for sure. But then once you got that part, then we're the ones that you're going to read those and kind of help them identify and interpret basically what those reports are telling you. So I never have I would say cash flow. You mentioned cash. Cash flow is very important. That is the most difficult report for me to understand and read. So can you elaborate a little bit on the cash flow report and why that's important?
Yeah. It is probably one of the most complicated. Not really many people know how to interpret it. And what it does is it actually breaks down. To me, it kind of combines the profit and loss, or the income statement, and the balance sheet. So it breaks down your cash flow from operations. So, the actual construction activities. It breaks down cash flow from financing activities and investing activities. So, when you're purchasing equipment and you have loans, you've got the two sides of that, right? You've got the actual purchase itself, and then you've got the payments you're making every month on it. And so what it does is it combines all of those different things and tells you, okay, every month, if that's how you're looking at it, you've got your net cash increase or decrease from operations, same thing from financing, same thing from investing. And at the very bottom, it's like, okay, your bank account went up or down. Look above to see why. That's pretty much it.
Now, you mentioned how often should we be looking at these? Now, I'm not just talking about just the cash flow, but any of your reports. Is
Yeah,
it daily, weekly, monthly?
I think it really depends on the size of the business. Someone that's kind of a mom and pop shop doesn't really need to be looking at it every day, right? It also
Mhm.
depends on what their goals are. If they're just trying to stay the same, then probably doesn't matter as much. But I would imagine the people listening to this show are usually trying to scale their business, and if that's the case, I would say that to start out with monthly. Get real comfortable with what those numbers are, make sure you understand what they mean, and then from there you can start looking at them more frequently. I think having a weekly scorecard of those big four things can be really, really beneficial, because then you can make adjustments before the month's over, right? You can make quick adjustments to try and fix things when you see the problems.
Sure. So, at what size level of a company would you say tends to have a need? I mean, if you're say $500,000 and you got maybe one big, what size of company when you start looking at it requires more? I say true accounting, marketing, management accounting, or even the CFO financials stuff that you're looking at it more deeply.
For me, I think that you know it kind of depends on whether they're a home builder or a subcontractor, right? Or
Mhm.
basically a GC or a sub. A GC, they're higher revenue, but less jobs going on.
Right.
So there is some of that to consider, but for me, it's usually once they pass about the 2 million mark in revenue, they've learned the things that they need to learn as a business owner, right? There's a bunch of stuff that you can't just listen to and skip. And so I kind of think that's the mark, $2 to $3 million in revenue, and they're probably gotten to the point where they're figuring it out, but they're hitting a ceiling. And they're like, I don't really know what to do next, and not super clear on their margins usually, or the cash flow statement, like what we were just talking about. So I think that's usually about the mark.
Why do you think that is, or what makes that change? Is it just the sheer volume to get to the 2 million, or is it just
That's definitely a piece of it.
yeah?
You've got more employees coming into the picture, right, to be able to
Mm,
get to that volume, and it just gets more complicated. You got benefits that you're starting to have to provide for your employees because they're asking, PTO, paid holidays, health insurance, all those different things, and it gets more complicated, more expensive, the more you grow, and having someone that has been through those things and has an idea of what it should look like can really just help you break through that ceiling.
what does have to change to break through?
That's a really good question. I think the main things that need to change are accountability.
Hmm.
Um, you go from texting your three employees, right? Like, hey, go here tomorrow,
Yeah.
and they may or may not report back to you via text on what's going on. But once you get 10 guys or 15 guys working with you, you got to be able to hold them accountable. And if you don't, they're going to milk the clock. They're going to get paid more than they need to get paid, or whatever the case may be, right? They're going to drive the company truck down to the next state over for a vacation, and you're not going to know about it. And you got to be able to hold them accountable. And it's not just people in the field; it's people in the office. It's the owner themselves, whoever's in charge of sales and estimating. I think accountability is probably like pretty high up there on the list of what needs to happen, and not just making sure people are doing their jobs, but also making sure that the business is successful. So all those things kind of tie together. You've got, say, at the top of a chart, you've got the vision for the business. Underneath that, you've got the people that are going to get it done, and underneath that, you've got what each of them is responsible for doing that fits into that picture. And they've got to be held accountable for making that happen.
Where I was going with that. Is there any softwares that you recommend or that you have used in the past that help that accountability? Or what are some ways? I mean, some people say, well, I don't want to spend money on software. And
Yeah.
then you can have so many softwares that,
Yeah.
and then you're subscribing to them, but you're not utilizing them. So
Mhm.
you want to make sure you get the right type of software. And then more importantly, that you're using it to its extent. And then I know there's some out there, and I'm not going to mention names because they might be listening, I guess, but that are so advanced, kind of like your Excel. I'll use Excel, Microsoft Excel. It's so advanced that you're not going to use every feature that is offered,
Right.
ever.
Right.
But one of those more rounded web softwares that doesn't break the bank, but can be utilized. You have any of those in mind?
Man, I'll be honest.
And it's okay if you don't.
Well, with my clients, I use a software. It's very simple. It's very cheap. It's called Monday.com. You've probably heard of it.
Oh yeah.
There's software.
Yeah.
It's like a work management platform. There's stuff like ClickUp. There's a bunch of different options that are very similar. Asana, probably heard of that.
Yeah, Asana. And some of these you can get free if you're small and starting out. Yeah,
some of them you can get. Yep.
Yeah.
Some of you can get free. Some of them are super cheap. Most of them aren't real expensive. And the nice thing about it is you can keep it as simple as you want. Now you do have to be a little bit creative in how you set them up because they're kind of a blank slate usually, or pretty close to it. But for me, it's kind of like Excel or Google Sheets, but a little more pretty, so people can be attracted to it a little bit more. And so something as simple as that, build your scorecard out inside of it and put your updates in every week when you meet with your team. And that's a start,
So let's revert back to, this is not a software. I don't mean to put you off. It's not a software discussion, obviously, but software does help accountability. It helps communicate the KPIs, your numbers that you mentioned earlier that as business owners, we need to pay attention to. And I also believe that even though we're paying attention to them, I think we ought to communicate them to our team because I used to do, I have daily meetings. We're growing now that we'd have monthly meetings and communicate with the people and say, hey, I don't need you to understand accounting, but at least understand that here's the profit goal. And is this number higher or lower than the next profit goal? And you can put two and two together. This is a good thing. This is a bad thing. Or we're smoking. We're doing what's supposed to happen. So I think those are important ways to communicate, and software can help to do that of any sort, or even just old fashioned, just sit down around a table and meet with people. Our job is to take that information. And if you're like me, you love reading numbers and can talk to Dustin all day long. But if you're an owner that's used to just going out and doing the grind and pushing the broom and swinging the hammer, you still need to know those information, and you need to be able to discuss it with somebody. Where do you talk about with your clients about communication to your teams when it comes to finances?
As in, where do they talk? Like, how are they communicating?
Are they sharing that information with their people? Are they, the reason it wasn't my idea. I got it from Southwest Airlines. There's a book out there about Southwest Airlines, how they communicate with their teams and how good it is. And I took that concept and put it in some roles that I've used. Do you see other people out there, or do you recommend communicating with your team? Not on the details of this costs this much. Why are you using it? It's more of here's what we estimated and why it costs more than what we thought.
Yeah. I definitely recommend it, though they have to be careful, right? Like there's certain details that, like you said, that they either don't need to know or that could
upset the apple cart.
Yeah, whatever.
So-and-so's getting paid this, and why they're not working
exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Totally. Right.
I'm talking about a labor cost. You can put labor. So
they need to understand.
Summarize labor. You can figure that expense out. It's all, everybody's in there.
Right.
What percentage is different?
Yeah. I think they need to understand their impact, right? The work that they're doing, how does that impact the goals that the company has, and they're company wide, right? Like everyone needs to know their impact on those things and how it's going to benefit them as well. So I think it's very important that the team knows.
If I'm a contractor and I call Dustin up and say, Dustin, I need and I might not even know the answer. Probably wouldn't even say CFO. I need somebody to help me with my business.
Yeah.
And I know numbers are the financial side is very important to me, but I need some help. And they had nothing. So what would be some of the questions you'd ask them to get started?
I start long term.
Okay.
For
Well,
me,
can you define that? What long
yeah,
term?
yeah, long term goals for me. So if the business owner's like, I want to be able to exit this, with a sale in 5, 10 years,
Hmm.
or I just want to be able to put my kids through college, which means I need to make X number of dollars or whatever the case may be. That is the first place I start, because then I can gauge, okay, is this person actually willing to invest in growth, or are they just trying to hand tasks off, right? Um, I only want to work with people that want to scale their businesses. And I would imagine that, most people in my industry are about the same, right?
Sure.
Um, it so that's how I gauge it. I take their long-term goals, their long-term thinking, and say, okay, this probably makes sense. And then we work backwards. What does the business need to be doing? This is what we're going to go through together. What does the business need to be doing in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years in order for you to be on track for your long-term personal goals?
Do you give them help on those numbers?
Yep. Yeah. So it's very common that they have no idea, right?
Yeah, I'm expecting that.
Especially when
Some
they're
of my
on
clients
board.
have no clue.
Yeah. It- they usually have no idea, and we work through those things together. And so I actually have I even have some worksheets for them to go through and spend time on themselves that I just give them, for free. It's not like it costs anything, to help them kind of work through those goals and try and create a little bit of that vision for themselves. And so once they get clear on that, it's more diving into the accounting of, how has the business performed in the past? Where are you at currently? What's your cash account look like? Are you healthy? Are you not healthy? Those types of things. So that's pretty much it.
So let's get into some. I'm not going to get down in the weeds, but I do want to take a big picture on the financials.
Yeah.
So we were having a discussion the other day, and my office manager has a lot of accounting background, and we were talking about budgets. And I want everybody to understand there's different budgets for different, I guess, different levels of budgeting. So you got actual estimated cost versus actual cost,
Mm-hmm.
but then those are included in a big nutshell the your overhead cost. And we're not getting how that happens, but those are happening. But what you and I will be looking at on a bigger picture side is the budget of the company, not the budget of the job,
Mm.
and how that relates to where you want to be percentage wise, if that's the best way to look at it. It could be dollar per employee. I mean, those are all things that you talk about, I'm sure, and discuss what's the best way to manage, or not manage us, but to evaluate us and where we're at. Kind of give me a how you would kind of lay that out as far as here's where you need to be. And like you said, most people don't understand. So where would you start? Say, well, I have no idea, Dustin. I'm new to this. I know that I need to be looking at it. We just got to $2 million. I'm ready to expand, but I'm afraid things
Mm-hmm.
are going to happen. So what's the next? What would we look at to help? What would I have to gather to make this all happen with you?
Yeah. So I probably take a different approach from most people that are just accounting, finance only, right?
Sure.
I make sure we're thinking through operationally what things need to be put in place in order for them to hit those goals, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, for me, I can't create a budget unless I know exactly the things that we are going to be implementing. What roles are we going to be hiring for that we have to hire for in order to hit X, Y, Z?
Yep.
I start there, and then we put numbers to it. What's this person going to cost you? Um, what do we need? More trucks? Do we need more equipment? What are those going to cost you? And then we're looking back at the history of the business and saying, historically, you've spent X in marketing. Does that make sense for the future growth? Probably not. So what additional do we need to invest into sales and marketing? And then we just go down. A lot of that work I do myself, right? Some of it I don't necessarily need I don't need them to tell me how much they're going to spend on fuel. I can do that myself. um, and some of those little things, but if they're the ones with the vision for the company, they probably also know. They just need to be asked the questions of what things need to be put in place, and then we just put numbers to it. And it's another one of those things that doesn't have to be as complicated as most people think.
I'm guessing you probably heard this one because I have. Well, all I have is my past taxes because we never kept the books. Can you use past taxes in a way to help you project and get some information that you need, Dustin?
If I have to, yeah. I mean, I do look at them as part of my, I would guess you'd call it analysis of their health. You know, some people come to me and they haven't filed any, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we've got some stuff we got to take care of.
Yeah.
But typically, if their books aren't kept, I go to the bank account first. And I'll literally export data from their bank account, and I will build reports myself if I have to better understand. Because, you know, with taxes, there's things that are done strategically to pay less, and it's not necessarily a picture of profitability usually.
No, I hear you. I'll give you an example. This has been years ago. Somebody approached me about buying their business. It wasn't a contracting business; it was a different one, and his price was fair. I don't disagree with that, except when you look at, and I was going to go get some financing, but when you look at their papers, their official papers, it did not, on paper, I cannot afford this business. It makes no sense because he was doing some things, which I'll disagree with him why he was doing it. But for me, it wasn't going to make sense to me to go get a loan on. Now, if I had the cash, that would be a different story. But all of mine was wrapped up in real estate. So the point being is that even though you're probably living very well if you're listening and your taxes don't show it. So what Dustin's talking about is actually trying to figure out exactly what you got coming in, exactly what you got going out, how many people you got. So we can kind of look at your numbers as we see them. And then that way we can create the budget, the cash flow, or whatever it is based on your past history. Would that be a fair assumption, Dustin?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it too is just like one of the big things that I do with my clients is build a cash flow forecast. So looking out 12 months, right? You're familiar with that?
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, we set these goals and we decide, okay, this needs to happen in quarter one, this needs to happen in quarter two, quarter three, whatever, and we'll take this forecast. We'll literally just plug those numbers in on a schedule, basically. Take your current cash balance. Okay, we're going to go through the last couple of months and see everything that's gone in and out, and we're just going to plug those things in and make decisions off it. So definitely a fair assumption. I could not do that very well with a tax return.
No. We need to see some actual numbers. What you said it earlier, and I've heard it before. We talked about vision. And I'm thinking of some of my people I've talked to in the past, and it's like, well, I don't have a vision. I just went out and started working. Well, that's true. You had a vision at that point, was that your vision was you're going to work hard enough to make enough money to survive or pay the bills or whatever. And that's a good vision. There's nothing wrong with that. And now it's possible, because we're having this conversation, you have a bigger vision than just making sure mama can have supper when I get home type thing. Yeah. And what are those visions? And there are ideas we can give you, and if you don't have any, but like you said, selling will be one thing. Do you plan? What's your end goal at the end of the day? When you get to a certain age, what do you want to happen? And that's really what we're talking about, vision, right?
Yeah, it is.
Is there other ways that a person could, and I guess those questionnaire that you have, how many of those questions, what percentage of that is about vision versus, say, just information that you send a questionnaire about?
It's like 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I try to get them to think, you know, like think about things that they probably haven't thought about before. A lot of these guys are young, you know, it's
right.
kind of the new thing in this age to be an entrepreneur, because it's cool, you know. Not saying that I necessarily agree with that, but you probably,
I don't know if it's cool. Sometimes it's cool. Sometimes you just can't find a job. You gotta go work for yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Just, you know, it's just the.
Yeah, I just try to get people to think outside the box and really dig deep with themselves of, you know, how do I want to live life with my family? You know, I've had some pretty significant recent experiences that have kind of pushed me that way of like, what are my actual priorities? What things do I want to be doing with my life? You know, do I want to have more kids? What do I want to be able to do with my kids? What kind of time do I want to spend with them? You know, how many weeks of vacation do I want to take every year? Because it's so easy to just get lost in the day-to-day grind and not have any like purpose behind it. And some people are okay with that. I'm just not. And I try to find the people that are also not okay with that.
Well, it sounds like you're not only creating the vision, you're also helping them set goals. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, it is.
So what kind of like you said, what are goals that we would want to set? Like vacation time, hours work maybe during the week?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we'll work backwards. Like if you want to take 2 months off, okay, how many hours you got to put in to be able to take 2 months off? It's simple. And then take how much do you want to make next year? Okay, what does that convert to on a monthly basis? Like what is the business going to have to do in order to get there? It's nothing complicated.
You mentioned, and it's not complicated. It's just thinking about it and taking the time to think about it. Sometimes, I don't have enough time to think. Well, that's the problem, and that's what we need to free that time up.
Yeah,
free that time up with a team.
Yep.
And then allow you to, I've got with stair steps. We got time and team, and then you move up to financials and so forth, and freedom. Always a time freedom. So, if freedom of time is the most important, in my opinion, because you can always make money. At least I believe you can make money. You can't make up time, and that's one constant with everybody. So, but to do that, you got to have a team. Do you talk about teams much with your clients?
Yeah, I do. Again, it's another one of those things that depends on size, but I would honestly say that probably 50% of our conversations are based around their team and what they're doing and what we need to grow it, to provide them with the right tools, all those things.
Well, Dustin, I just started my business, or I'm at 3 million. When do I justify a new hire, or how do I justify new hires? Or when do I increase my team versus say maybe software so I can do more with the same people I have? Do you have those discussions?
Yeah, we do, and that's a tough one. Like there's no
wrong or right answer.
But yeah, exactly. Like I couldn't guarantee that if you go hire this person, it's going to be the right thing. You know, you're probably it's usually if it's a new position too, this is a really big one is,
oh yeah,
a lot of people when they get into hiring a new position, like an estimator, it flops the first time usually, but
why do you think that is?
I mean, usually it's just kind of on a whim, right? No one's thinking through exactly what that needs to look like. And they've never been through it before. So it's the same as anything else.
I went through 2 other office managers before I found my third one. And I think for me, it was 2 things that I did. One, by the time I had the second one, everything was good and she was great. But it was just, by the time the second one came around, I had a clear understanding what I wanted and their definition.
Yep.
Now, what I recommend is, if I don't like to hire, that's one of my weak points. And I found a headhunter and that understood me, and I had a good conversation, kind of like what we're talking about now. We're hiring you for a good conversation with financials. Have a good conversation about what it is, and to make you think, what do you really want in this person I'm going to go look for? Or in your case, what do you want from the company financially to do? And let's make a plan for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
We use the cash flow forecast usually to help us make the decision on, can we even afford it, right?
Right.
Because you hire a new employee and say they are a revenue generating employee, but you're not actually going to see any of that benefit for 90
months, I think.
Days,
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Can you afford to just float their salary for that long before they make any money? That's a real simple one. Like, and if the answer is no, then we know that that's not the way to go yet. And so that's
important too. Yet it's not right now. We know we've identified an issue. We just got to work through it until we're ready for that
Yeah.
position.
We know we have to have another month of cash in the bank to be able to hire that person.
One of the things we looked at overtime, for example. If you were over 20% overtime, then on a continuing basis, that we could afford a new hire, and that new hire costs less than somebody making 20% overtime. That was a gauge that we looked at too. There was a lot of things you can look at, and every company's different. That wasn't a contracting company. That was another company. But the same, that's what I love about this. It's the same game, just different players, different percentages. A contractor has different percentages than, say, a restaurant.
Yep.
And a printing company. That's what I used to run. Everything's different, but you still have the same issues, the same problems, the same financial categories, the same reports. You're just looking at it different based on what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Same things. You just, you same struggles usually too, right? Like cash flow is always one of the big ticket items. It's hard.
Always. There are some that have higher and lower overheads, and those are pluses, but they still have the same problems.
Yeah.
And none of them's easy. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Right.
And that's why you got people want to be employees, because they don't want to deal with those things. And you got to be a special individual.
And I don't blame them. I don't
either. You got to be a special individual to want to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. And more importantly, I like talking about being a business owner, but then you become the investor, take that money and invest it in other things. That way you're always diversified in what your income is, and give them more flexibility to handle those things. Yeah. Like, for example, if you decided that you talk about the cash flow and you have other businesses that generate cash, but you don't have the cash flow in this business to hire that person, then maybe you get a loan from your other businesses to make that happen. Then you pay yourself back. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, strategies to do that. And that's where a CFO comes into play too, is you understand those ideas. You understand those strategies. They're not really gimmicks. They're really strategies. And I was talking to somebody the other day about taxes, and the comment was that if there's a tax out there, it's legitimate or tax deduction, it's because the politicians have businesses too, and they designed it to help them. So if it's working for them, it's going to work for you as well. So
that's one way to look at it for sure.
Politicians irritate me, but
I agree.
They make the rules. They make the rules, and they make them. And it's like, okay, well, then we have to understand the rules ourselves and use it to our advantage, just like they do.
Yep. I mean, great business owner. I mean, I don't know about like in terms of how he is as a human, but our president is one of them. A lot of our stuff comes from him.
Whether you like it or not, he uses the game.
He's figured it out.
Yeah, he told Hillary that one time. He goes, "I play because I use them," and so does she, and so does a lot of others. And that's just part of the game. And we know the game. We got to play it. We play it in this case, like at the $2 million mark, and move up. And if we're happy at 2 or 5, whatever it is, that's fine. Play that game. If you want to be bigger. It's all based on your vision and your goals. So Dustin, if I wanted to reach out and I need a CFO, what would be the best way to get hold of you?
My website, ravencfo.com, Raven like the bird. I've my phone number as well, 480-269-2236. That goes straight to my phone. People can text or call me there. Hopefully not spam me, but but those two are the best options.
Awesome. We'll put that information in the show notes below for sure. Dustin, it's been a pleasure. And also, if you like what you got today, please hit like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Notify you. And Dustin, you have a good day. All right.
Thanks, Chris.
I'll be with you till we meet again.